Good evening, world, and thanks for coming to check out Haunting Season. Now, if you don't know who we are, warning, you are watching the third video in a trilogy of videos about my high school paranormal experiences. So, there's just gonna be less details than the first, which is right here, in case you're wondering. You can check it out if you want. No pressure. For the rest of you, before we start, this past weekend I had my first unofficial official shoot for Haunting Season. Yeah, woo, all right. I shot 3 shorts over the weekend that I'm gonna release over the next month, and I'm really excited about it. If none of you followed the live tweets that I was doing, there's always next time. Or I'm sure there's some sort of history on Twitter. I don't really know Twitter that well, but who does? Anyway, I'll be releasing one of those shorts on Friday, and you guys can let me know what you think. That being said, I have one final story for you from this trilogy, which I didn't know was a trilogy until I said it in the intro, and I thought that was kind of cool. The high school trilogy. That sounds lame. The trilogy of horror. That sounds too epic. Trilogy of my high school experiences. That sounds a little... So after our experience on Clinton Road, there was kind of a sad turn of events. Dan dropped out of high school, and that was pretty much the last time we ever hung out with him. He ended up getting a job, and when you get a job at that age, you're pretty much too busy for friends. So we had this other friend, John. John was a littler guy. He was really into his car, which was this little green Trans Am, and he was really into Hoobastank. Like, he loved Hoobastank so much. He had that song, you know, the Crawling in the Dark. That's it. He had that song 99 times on one CD, so that when we drove around, that was the only thing that played. So that's John in a nutshell, and he never wanted to come with us because he didn't think that he wanted to be involved in such things until we had an opening in our group, and then John was like, you know, I guess I could go. So us being sort of uncreative without Dan, Mike says, you know what? We should take John to Clinton Road. And Guy and I are like, that's a great idea. Let's pull on our sweatshirts. And so we all pile into John's green Trans Am, turn on the radio, and it's like, finally Mike's like, look, shut it off, I'm gonna tell you the story. So he goes into this long story about what happened to us at Clinton Road, and John's driving, his hand's starting to shake a little bit on the wheel. He's like, that didn't happen. And Guy and I are like, oh no, it happened. And Mike's like, oh yeah, make a turn up here, turn left up there, you know, trying to be all navigator, trying to make up for the loss of Dan, the all-powerful horror hunter. And the weird thing is, as we were driving around, none of us could remember how to get there. And I drove there. And I usually have a pretty photographic memory when it comes to driving. This time, it was just impossible to find for some reason. So finally we go over these railroad tracks and mountain lakes. And we go up this mountain into the woods. And we're like, okay, woods, this is great. This is, I remember woods. And Mike's going, I don't think this is right. And John's driving and he's like, I actually don't care if we never find this place because I don't want to go there now. Thanks, Mike. You shouldn't have told me any of those stories. And we're like, no, it's gonna be great. Because you know, when you have a paranormal experience, like it's really scary when you're there. And then like a week goes by and it's like, remember how scared we were? It was pretty scary. And then a couple weeks go by and you're like, I don't really think I was that scared, to be honest. So we're driving through the woods for what seems like an eternity. And finally we're like, you know what? Let's just go out into the woods. I'm sure something creepy will happen out there. Woods are scary. Woods are very scary, especially at night. So John pulls over the car and we park it on the side of the road there and we decide to go into the woods. And eventually we get to this playground. And there's a swing set on either side, a slide, and one of those merry-go-round like disc things, you know, with like the little handlebars and you spin it really fast. And like we can't even see the road behind us. And there is nothing, no lights, no houses, just woods. And Mike turns around to us and he's like, guys, this is creepy. And Guy is like, do you think this is a real playground? Or like, we're imagining this right now? And I'm like, it's real. It's gotta be real, right? And John's like, I don't like this at all. We should get out of here. And the rest of us are like, no, you can't leave. You can't find something like this and then leave. So we stick around. And then I'm like, hey, John, get on the merry-go-round. We'll spin you around as fast as we can. So we get on the merry-go-round and we're running in a circle, and everyone's got the thing, and we're laughing and making a whole ruckus because who are we gonna wake up at 1 in the morning if there's no houses around? And we're running and pushing it. He's like screaming, "Stop, guys, stop, no!" He throws up all over the ground, and we're laughing so hard. And then it gets kind of quiet, and we hear this. We all look at each other, and we're all right here. And Guy's like, "Did you hear that?" And Mike's like, "Yeah, it sounded like someone's skin on the slide." And John's like, "I think we need to get out of here." And I'm like, random sounds happen in the woods all the time. We're gonna be fine. So we're all sitting there and we're thinking about it. And then we notice that the swings on both sides are just gently swinging back and forth and back and forth. And Mike's like, "It's the wind, right?" And John's like, "There's no wind." And Guy goes, "We have to go." And all of a sudden there's a rustling behind us. And we all turn around and there's nothing there. And all of a sudden there's a rustling behind us the other way, and we all turn around and there's nothing there. So Guy and John are freaking out at this point. "Guys, we gotta go. Let's just go back to the car. Let's just go to the diner and get some disco fries." And Mike and I are looking at each other, and we've been through 2 really interesting and frightening experiences before together. And we kind of give each other this look of recognition, and Mike turns to Guy and John and says, "Go back to the car." And Guy's like, "What do you mean, you're coming with us?" And Mike's like, "No, we're not." So John and Guy turn around and they go back. And all of a sudden the noises around us are getting a little bit louder, and the swings are going a little bit. You can hear rustling in different points around us as we're standing there, just sort of soaking it in and realizing that we didn't bring any flashlights. So Mike and I are standing there, and I'm like, "So what do you want to do?" And Mike was like, "We gotta go into the woods." So we both turned toward the slide where we heard that invisible person go down, and we start walking towards it. And all of a sudden it's dead quiet. The swings are no longer swinging. There's no more rustling, and we walk into the woods. We're trying to stay really close to each other, so we always know where the other person is, but all of a sudden the clouds come over the moon, and it is dark. I mean really dark. And as our eyes are adjusting, we notice these little waist-high, can't really tell what they are, just like little waist-high blurs of white things going through the trees. And we're trying to adjust our eyes and look out there, and I'm like, "Hey Mike, did you see that?" And Mike's like, "Shh, yeah, I saw it." "What do you think it is?" "Albino midgets." I'm like, "Shut up." So we go deeper into the woods, keeping the same distance. It's getting darker. And then we see another little blur of the white thing going behind a tree. And Mike yells out, "We got you, motherfucker!" And I'm like, "What are you doing? You don't know what that is. Shut up. You're the one making all the noise. Shut up, shut up, shut up." And these little tiny floating orbs are just going by. Almost like when you're really tired and you have those little floaters in your eye. And anytime you try and look at them, they move. And all of a sudden, Mike and I both turn to each other and we go, "What?" And he's like, "What? You just tapped me." "Shut up." "No, you just tapped me on the shoulder." "Shut up, you just tapped me on the shoulder." "No, I didn't. I was right over here." I'm like, "Okay, this is weird. Maybe we should go back." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So we turn around. We start making our way back. And there are these little white blurs going through the trees every once in a while. And with it comes a little bit of rustling. We didn't hear the rustling before, so we're both assuming that whatever it is coming closer. And we're walking through the leaves and we're stepping on sticks, and every stick that breaks sounds like a thunderclap because we're trying to be so quiet. And all of a sudden they start giggling. So there's giggling and rustling, and all of a sudden, "Ow! Mike, what the fuck?" And at the same exact time, "Ow! Josh, what the fuck?" And we both completely freeze where we are. And I'm like, "Mike, we gotta get to the car." So we start running, and we can see the playground, and we can see the swings just going, and we can see the merry-go-round just spinning. We run straight through the playground and all the way to the car without stopping. When we get to the car, John and Guy are standing there with the car running and the headlights on, and they both get out of the car and they're like, "Why are you running? What happened?" "I don't know, there were these things. And they're going through the woods, and John's like, oh God, oh no, we gotta get in the car, we gotta go. And so we all four get in the car, and John slams on the gas, and we're off. And we just drive. And we end up going to the diner, and we end up going to get disco fries. And as we're there, going over every detail of what happened, we get to the end of it. And they're like, well, why did you say ow? And I'm like, why? I felt something grab my leg. And Mike's like, oh, I felt something grab my shoulder. And John and Guy look at each other. And John goes, did you look at your leg? And Guy's like, did you look at your shoulder? And we're like, no. So I pull up my pant leg, and Mike pulls back his shirt, and there are 3 scratch marks across my calf. And there are 3 scratch marks right across his shoulder blade, and absolutely no rips in our clothing. And as far as I know, that was the last time any of us went out looking for a paranormal experience. Well, that's my story for today. Thanks for watching. If you like it, hit the subscribe button, tell your friends. The more subscribers I get, the better content I'll be able to make. Next week, I'll be releasing my first short, which I'm really excited about, but don't worry, this isn't the end of the stories. I'll be vlogging again very soon. See ya.